Here at the center stage, we have our next topic of discussion, Palantir's keynote. American prosperity is national security. And we want to give a special thank you to Palantir Technologies' sponsorship of our inaugural Expo. And we are very excited to bring to the stage Palantir's Chief Technology Officer. Please welcome Shyam Sankar.
All right, welcome. Thank you for joining us on this inaugural CCSP Expo here. When we launched Palantir AIP in June of 2023, it was to a bombastic response. We've run over 1,000 boot camps with our customers where we've taken them through an AI journey in less than 8 hours at the speed of light. And that's because we've pioneered this approach to getting beyond chat, to really harnessing LLMs in the enterprise to unlock value, taking the inherently unstructured information that's flying around the enterprise, PDFs, comments, Slacks, audio, your video conferencing, and turning that into structured actions and outputs that drive economic value in the course of your workflows inside of a business. And we've already covered nearly 200 use cases coming out of these boot camps, but we're just getting started. One of my favorite examples is with an American industrial company that the IT group very reluctantly came to this boot camp, but when they left, they said they got more done in the 8 hours than they had in the prior 4 months. Now, as you're thinking about your own AI journey, it's important to think about what sort of journey are you on? Because building a retrieval augmented generation demo, a RAG demo, or building a chatbot, these things are pretty easy and they're pretty fun, but they're not inherently valuable. And the metaphor I like to have for this is the self-driving car. We had a phenomenal demo of a self-driving car in 2005 that drove 132 miles through the desert. Pretty robust demo. Arguably, 2024, nearly 20 years on, and we still do not have a product. I don't think anyone in this room wants to be on that sort of journey. And that's why we are maniacally focused at Palantir on proof, not proofs of concept. That we are partnering deeply with our customers to scaling this stochastic genie that is the LLM to actually unlock value in the enterprise and deliver crushing value. We've helped companies change how they build factories. We've reduced the wait list at the NHS in the UK by 1/3. We're driving health systems to change how they manage patient discharge and bed availability. We're changing how insurance companies deal with insurance claims processing. And we're helping manufacturers material harmonizations where they have hundreds of millions of parts, hundreds of more of these use cases. And the reason I think this is important is that economic prosperity is national security. These are two sides of the same coin. The purpose of defense is to underwrite our prosperity and our freedom. But when we think about healthcare, it is a national security problem that the costs of healthcare are growing faster than inflation and GDP combined. When we think about productivity, it's a national security problem that productivity growth is stagnant. That means that our children's lives are not clearly going to be better and more prosperous than ours. We live in an era where less than $10 billion of private capital invested in SpaceX has put 320 rockets into space. And at the same time, $11 billion of taxpayer capital invested by the state of California has built 1,600 feet of elevated rail. We must retake the initiative. The rate that US companies are adopting AI is eye-watering. They are using it for stunning effect. And you can look at this geopolitically. Europe is paralyzed. They are trying to study the problem. They're analyzing how to regulate the problem. They're wondering if it might go away. And I've seen US industry roll up their sleeves and seize the initiative. And that's really important because AI is an empirical journey. You cannot think your way through it. It favors the inductive and the iterative, and that is an American strength. Our government is at its best when it's implementing, not just regulating technologies. It is the hard-earned operational experiences that drive the precision and the correctness in the policy that we implement. We should ask ourselves the question, what will our chief AI officers be? Will they be implementing AI, disrupting and transforming their organizations, or will it be capturing AI for status quo interests? In broad strokes, I think it's no surprise that the US government has been a little slow to adopt AI, that we have more task force studying safety independent of use case than we do have task forces implementing AI, that we're thinking about policy independent of results. We're not yet on the empirical journey. So we need to accelerate. And the only way forward is really to start building faster in real operational contexts. But we do have US government pathfinders who are out there showing us the way. So I wanted to welcome Lyndsay from the CDC to the stage to share her pathfinding work as she's applying AI to foodborne disease.
Hi, everybody. My name is Lyndsay Bottichio. I'm Associate Director for Surveillance for the Division of Foodborne, Waterborne, Environmental Diseases at the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. Now, we've been partnered with Palantir Technology since 2010, so it's been a long partnership with them to help us work to solve foodborne outbreaks faster. And so for us, that's been something as simple as how can we get our line lists, our maps, our epidemic curves into the hands of all of our partners as quickly as possible so that we're all looking at the exact same data at the same time. Again, it's not about chatbots for us. It's literally about saving human lives. So when we wanted to really look at AI, the next thing that we thought about is what can we do to make ourselves more efficient? And one of the problems that we realized that we had is that for us, when we look at receipts and we look at things like shopper card records from Costco, that takes a human manual time to look at them and find a thing in common amongst all of these receipts. And if you have 30 receipts, that could take you hours or days. And we don't have that time because all of that time means that item could be on your shelf in your refrigerator, making your family sick. So we reached out to Palantir and said, here's the next thing that we want to do. And so they built us a very cool tool that we're using today to help us solve our outbreaks faster. So here you can see our tool. It's our foodborne investigation tool. Hopefully this will play. Here we go. Great. So what we're doing is we're feeding in our receipts and our shopper card records into the tool. Definitely not playing. If our tech guys could play that video, that'd be great. Perfect. Play. Okay. So we're feeding in our receipts and our shopper card records right into the tool, and it's using optical character recognition to pull items from these receipts. And our partners are the ones who are entering this information. It's not me doing it. It's not others at CDC. It's our partners at our local and our state health departments who are able to do this. It's not going to continue to play. I'm going to tell you what it does. So it's using that optical character recognition to drop out food items. It's giving us information that I wouldn't have been able to figure out on my own. It'll tell us brand names of things on your receipt that are not easy for us to figure out. So if you buy wine, and it gives you some weird code, it'll tell you what that code is with a brand. That's helpful for us. Then we worked with FDA to categorize these things into specific buckets so that we can figure out very quickly, okay, we're looking at all of these receipts, they all have dairy items. All of these receipts have grain items. All of these receipts have vegetable row crops or romaine items. And then from there, we can plug it back into the tool and ask it ad hoc queries and say, how many of my receipts have tomatoes? And it will spit it out and it will tell us what receipts have that. So we're doing this in 30 minutes, something that took us days in the past. This is incredibly helpful for us. The other thing that we're now doing is we're using a tool called Smart Search, which is taking a lot of our free text information and giving us that semantic search capability. So if I have state and local health departments that are entering information to tell us that, okay, this person had salsa and a burrito and chicken, and same with the next person, it'll go in and I can say, tell me all of my patients that had cilantro. And it knows that salsa has cilantro in it, and it will pick those cases out for me. And again, if you're a baby investigator, you might not know that. So the computer is helping us get to that insight a heck of a lot faster, which means I'm pulling that out of market that much faster for you all. So the last thing that we're really hoping to do is that next, this is kind of where we're moving into the future, is we would like to develop eater profiles. So if you think about a college-age student, if they're eating chicken nuggets and ramen noodles, if we see a lot of that on our line list, we want it to flag out. It's a college student profile. It's a vegetarian profile. It's a middle-aged person profile. And then we can start to make some assumptions on that, which again will help us be able to solve these outbreaks faster, get these products off of the markets, off of your shelves, and out of the refrigerator so we can save lives. Thank you.
Thank you, Lyndsay, for that. I'm apologize for the video there. We'll definitely post it online because it's a really cool workflow. These guys have been leading the way, really driving us, and I'm proud of what they've done. The other enormous opportunity with AI for America is that AI is for builders. And we need to build a lot in the present moment. You know, at the dawn of World War II, America was the best at mass production. That's how we built the arsenal of democracy. But we're not anymore. But we are the best at software by a yawning margin. There are 0 globally competitive enterprise software companies from India or China. Think about that. And that's not because we're smarter. It's really, it has everything to do with culture. It is not a coincidence that the AI revolution started in this country. And you might think that that culture was imported from Israel or from India, but no, it was actually imported from Iowa. This unique technology culture is rooted deeply in Midwestern values. It's what Bob Noyce, the co-inventor of the transistor and the co-founder of Intel, brought to Silicon Valley. And that's really hard to replicate. And the other part that's really important is at the beginning of World War II and into the early Cold War, there was no defense industrial base. There was only an American industrial base. Chrysler had a missile division. General Mills, the cereal company, made inertial guidance systems for ICBMs. Pontiac made machine guns, and Goodrich was not a tire company. And we should remember that when it came to World War II, it wasn't Northrop Grumman, it was Jack Northrop. It wasn't Martin Marietta, the predecessor to Lockheed Martin, it was Glenn Martin. It was Howard Hughes. It was Henry Kaiser. It was the innovators within government itself, like Kelly Johnson, who built the U-2 in 9 months and 40 airframes in his entire career as the founder of Skunk Works at Lockheed. It was Admiral Rickover, the founder of the Nuclear Navy, and Colonel John Boyd. In America, we understand intuitively that there's something special about founders. There's a reason we call them the founding fathers. When we think about that Last Supper that Bill Perry had in 1993 in the Pentagon, we had won the Cold War. At least the Soviets had lost the Cold War. We needed a peace dividend. The budgets were going to get slashed by 67%. Not all of the 51 defense primes were going to survive. Now we only have 5. The real consequence that people think of when they think of that event is a lack of competition in the industrial base. That is not the deepest consequence. The consequence is that consolidation bred conformity, and conformity is not an environment that crazy, creative American founders can survive in. But that movement has changed. More than $100 billion has been invested into defense tech. The founders are back. Let us end the famine of the Last Supper with a first breakfast. How do we support the founders as they go forth and defend our nation and bring us prosperity? This is a broader movement for the entirety of this ecosystem here. The Palantir's contribution to the first breakfast, uniquely building on our 20 years of experience trying to create a wormhole between modern American software and the Defense Department, is to help accelerate these companies' journey, help get them to revenue faster, help them integrate into the workflows. We can field a huge amount of software, which again, we happen to be the best in the world at, between now and any potential conflicts. there's not that much exquisite hardware you're going to be able to field in that same period of time. So our first focus is with FedStart. Delivering software to government requires you to deliver accredited software. That is a 2-year, $2 million journey of brain damage. Most of these companies can survive the $2 million, but 2 years this is a meaningful part of the so-called valley of death. Unable to raise capital, unable to demonstrate traction, unable to unleash the creative forces of our founders here. So with FedStart, Palantir changes this problem to take weeks and tens of thousands of dollars, fundamentally helping more of these innovators succeed. But I'm also excited to announce a new offering today, our Joint All-Domain Command and Control, or JADC2 software development kit. This is going to make it possible for every builder to run their applications on top of our operating system, to very quickly essentially plug into the kill chain, to integrate with the workflows that warfighters have, to integrate with the data they have, and to do so at the speed of relevance to the mission. So whereas FedStart means that you're going to be able to continuously and seamlessly plug your AI into the Department of Defense, the JADC2 SDK means that you'll be able to seamlessly integrate with the workflows that your users actually have. I think this is the meaningful protein of the first breakfast. So I'd like to highlight 2 awesome partners that we have in this journey. They'll come up in turn here, Audrey from Slingshot and Ben from Rebellion.
Thanks, Shyam. Hi, everyone. I'm Audrey Schaffer, Vice President of Strategy and Policy from Slingshot Aerospace, and I'm really thrilled to be here with you today. I've spent my entire career working space policy from the Pentagon to the White House and now in the private sector, and I've always been passionate about space safety, space sustainability, and space security, which are central to Slingshot's mission. At Slingshot, we're building a common operating picture for space. So if there are any Dr. Strangelove fans out in the audience, think of it like the big board, but for space. Now, to build that picture, we track objects in space, so think satellites and space junk, with a network of ground-based telescopes that we've deployed at over 20 locations around the globe. We also curate a database of open source contextual information on every object ever launched into space since the dawn of the space age. And within the Slingshot platform, we fuse that data with other public and private sources of information. We apply advanced physics models along with artificial intelligence and machine learning to present the most comprehensive, accurate, and actionable picture of everything happening in space, past, present, and future predicted. Now, this virtual environment can be used by anyone planning a space operation, whether you're a commercial satellite operator planning a maneuver in a crowded orbit, or a military unit training for conflict that extends into space. And now, as Shyam said, we're working through the Palantir FedStart program to deploy our tools into classified environments where they're most urgently needed. So I'm going to attempt to play a video here too. Let's see. All right. So let's give you an example. Imagine you're a Space Force Guardian, a member of our nation's newest branch of the Armed Forces. You're assigned to the National Space Defense Center at Schriever Space Force Base on the outskirts of Colorado Springs, where you're charged with protecting and defending our nation's vital interests in space. By 2030, there could be up to 100,000 satellites orbiting Earth, doing everything from providing broadband internet to the far reaches of the globe, to commanding and controlling nuclear forces, to providing that blue navigation dot on every single person's phone. And your job is to monitor everything, because our national security, economic prosperity, and way of life depend on space. You're watching everything from low Earth orbit, just a couple hundred miles from the Earth's surface, all the way to geosynchronous orbit, 22,000 miles away. Luckily, you've got a great set of tools to work with. You're logged into the Slingshot application, where you've got real-time space domain awareness data from our network, other commercial providers, as well as DoD's space surveillance network, all fused together to provide you with the most complete picture of everything happening in space. And for a multi-domain tool view, your tool is linked with Palantir's Target Workbench, where you can see how things happening in space might be related to what's going on land in the air, or at sea. You receive an alert of a potential high-interest activity. Slingshot's advanced machine learning tools have detected a maneuver by a Chinese satellite in geosynchronous orbit, which is where many of the most critical U.S. satellites are stationed. You pull up the satellite's information from Slingshot's Saradata contextual database, where you can see everything from where and when the satellite was launched, who manufactured it, to maybe even what components are on board. Slingshot's advanced analytics show you things like maneuver history, pattern of life, and other analytics that provide you with insight about whether this object could be a potential threat. And in this case, it may very well be. The SJ-21 is a Chinese technology demonstration satellite with a robotic arm on board that can grapple nearby satellites. And right in its path is a U.S. missile warning satellite, our eyes in the sky for strategic early warning of nuclear attacks. Now you have to decide how to respond. Slingshot's tool is linked with Palantir's Target Workbench, which provides potential courses of action, where you can now see how those courses of action might generate a response by the Chinese. Slingshot's AI-driven threat agent shows how the Chinese could attempt to counter your move. You approve the course of action that will allow the missile warning satellite to complete its mission while avoiding potential escalation. You send that course of action to the Guardians responsible for operating the missile warning satellite, who execute a maneuver. Mission complete. Threat avoided. Now look, that was pretty cool, right? And this wasn't just some sci-fi thing or a cool video game that I cooked up for today's demonstration. The scenario I described is one that military planners worry about, and the Slingshot and Palantir tools I showed you are real. And the seamless experience that I described is within reach, because we are working on bringing these tools together and giving them to Guardians in the environment where they operate to keep our nation safe. Thanks very much.
Hi, everyone. Good afternoon. My name is Ben FitzGerald. I'm the CEO of Rebellion Defense. I just wanted to start out by thanking Shyam and the Palantir team for the opportunity to be on stage here, and to SCSP for putting on such a great event. It's great to see all of these people here talking about this topic. Rebellion Defense is a software startup that was founded in 2019 with the goal of building software to help the Department of Defense better understand, predict, and adapt to the modern battlefield. Related to that mission, we're also focused on helping the DoD acquire and use best-in-class software that already exists today, that's not a science project. Now, when we talk about acquiring and procuring software, we largely think about that as a government problem, and it is. I've spent the last 15 years working actively on defense innovation, whether that's legislation from the Hill, policy from the Pentagon, and a variety of other roles. All of that has been focused on how to help the DoD get its hands on the best possible software, whether that's from a startup like ourselves or from traditional defense industry. One of the interesting things for me that has been largely absent from this conversation is the role of the private sector, of us, in meeting our customers where they are and continuing to adapt to help them solve their problems, not just their technical ones, but their organizational ones. In all of that work that the department has done over the last 15 years, there's still a lot of work to do, and some of it will only be solved by the private sector. And that's why we're really excited to partner with the Palantir team to leverage the ideas that Shyam and his team have put together in the first breakfast. We deeply believe in this hypothesis, because we all need to work together to adapt and innovate. Apollo's software deployment platform that Audrey was just talking about demonstrates not just new technology, but a new business model for how Palantir and other companies like Rebellion can quickly deliver value to the DoD and to other government customers. This speed is especially important for critical missions operating at the edge, so the software can be updated and it can adapt in hours or days, not weeks, months, or years. To give you a practical example of this, we're going to show you Rebellion's Iris. which is a mission accelerant. And it's a mission accelerant that enables advanced tracking, predictive analytics, and adaptive planning. We have a very clear vision for Iris, which is to deliver fast, targeted, AI-driven value for military operations, and importantly, and this is part of our innovation, to do it with modular and interoperable software. Now, we are going to attempt to show you a video. I think there's a 50-50 chance of this working, so we'll see how it goes, that demonstrates how Iris and Palantir's Gotham work together to enable rapid decision-making. So, what you can see here is a view of the Pacific Northwest, where Iris is tracking and identifying maritime vessels in real time. As you will see, there are hundreds, and there can potentially be thousands of objects across a battle space. That far exceeds the human capacity to identify what's a threat and what's noise. Now, based on historic patterns of behavior, Iris can flag which vessels are exhibiting anomalous or noteworthy behavior. That could be a sudden increase in speed, a change of trajectory, or getting too close to a military asset. These anomalies are automatically shared with Palantir's Gotham, which immediately alerts US forces that there is a vessel in the area that requires additional investigation to determine if it's a threat. Now, Iris can also automatically provide assignment recommendations for military assets to investigate anomalous vessels that are reflected in real time for operators using Gotham. So with Iris and Gotham working together, US forces can dramatically reduce the time and the cognitive load required for operators to identify and take action against threats in highly congested or contested environments. So there are a large number of technical innovations that the Rebellion engineering team has put into Iris. The data that we train on, the way that we train, the weights and measures, the way that we pass data, importantly, how we've designed the product to, as Shyam says, get out of chatbots, get out of search bars and into user workflows. But we also are showing here a business model innovation for both Rebellion and Palantir. Apollo provides access to data and DoD networks that would ordinarily take the DoD years to be able to provide to a startup. And Rebellion's modular architecture allows us to rapidly deploy that AI into current workflows and existing programs of record, which will increase the time to value without the need to rip and replace legacy systems or applications that the DoD has spent hundreds of millions and years to develop. And we really think that this is an approach which is a way to bring technology from today into a way of deploying it that's from the future. And we'd really like to thank Shyam and the Palantir team for the creativity that they've applied in coming up with the first concept and with Apollo and this modern stack. It's going to deliver a ton of value for users in the Department of Defense, government, and across that. And it also allows organizations like Rebellion to innovate in our own ways. And so we're looking forward to deepening that collaboration and doing a bunch of great stuff together. So thank you for the time. I would be remiss if I didn't encourage you all to move over to the Palantir booth at 3 p.m. To see a more fulsome demonstration of Iris running on the Gotham stack. And you can also come and take a look at the Rebellion booth over at 202, just across from our friends at Palantir over in that corner. Thanks again.
Thank you, Audrey. Thank you, Ben. That's great. So one more product announcement I want to make. We've released a whole slew of mixed reality offerings. If you come by the booth, you can check them out. But one I want to call out in particular that I'm excited about that is for builders is our mixed reality OSDK or Ontology Software Development Kit. This kit is going to enable partners and customers to build spatial computing or mixed reality applications that leverage the breadth of enterprise data. And it's the same underlying technology that powers Palantir's own IC2 or immersive command and control technology that we have recently demonstrated at PCC4 at the National Training Center. And I think it's going to enable entirely new approaches well beyond traditional mission command in terms of maintenance, repair operations, field coordination, teamwork. We've also been pushing this on the commercial side with Panasonic Energy North America, a battery manufacturer for Tesla batteries, who've been able to use this on the factory floor. But one more thing. To launch builders, to really mobilize AI for America, we want to announce Build with AIP today, a library of quick starts, reference implementations, and tutorials that are going to get you building very quickly with AI. The first 400 people who are able to use this QR code can sign up and get their own developer account fully featured. It's going to enable you to learn by doing, to learn by building. Use cases from GPT vision to analyze images, similar to what Lyndsay was talking about with the CDC, to ontology retrieval generation, to tutorials on incorporating expert feedback into your AI. So much more. And I think this is really important because, as I said earlier, AI is an empirical journey. Let's roll up our sleeves. Thank you very much.